what's coming out next year, as we are predicting, it's also the rise of the archetypes. And it's something which I'm telling the team as well. I said I think next year is where it goes back to the early 2000s, where we would always say, oh, you're a girl, you're a Chloe girl, or you're a Versace girl. So women are beginning to feel that if they're going to spend that money, they want to feel something. It either makes them feel super hot or it makes them feel super powerful. And I think in terms of the buying business, I think in Singapore, or Asia per se, I think it's still quite divided. I think genuinely, a lot of people, they're going to drop a lot of money. They want to make sure that they're able to touch it, feel it. So in that sense, the standard brick and mortar, that still stands. The only difference now is people want to buy into a little experience. So what can you do in that space to pretty much attract people to the store? What are the people at the store doing, right? So maybe for online, it's slightly simpler, so people are more willing to drop low ticket items, people to buy a pair of sandals, a pair of sneakers. I think in that sense, it's still pretty much quite divided like that. And if you think of brands like, say, Chanel, they're really smart because they would drop things that you almost cannot buy some of the stuff online, so they actually get people to the store. Yeah, so I think a lot of it is actually smarts on knowing how you want your customer to be moving in the way that you want to guide them into. So pretty much for us, like that.
So I think it is changing quite a lot, and I think generationally there are preferences. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the near future. So for Martina, I wanted to ask you how important is sustainability for the Nordic market when they select products? Have you seen particular evolutionary markers for values that drive people to invest in?
I have to agree. I agree that the retail experience, like going into the shop and feel and experience something is big now, and especially after COVID and e-commerce, we are seeing now so important anymore. So that is one point. But here, compared to Asia, we are not so driven by logos, like, the Versace person, for example, or about the minimalistic lifestyle values of how we do that. So for us, also the whole regulations that comes around waste and textiles now, all brands will be forced to engage more in how we produce. So, and this is and then also again Vogue Scandinavia will ride together with all the fashion brands from this region, and also in Europe and from the US, because there's where you absolutely have the regulations coming out around textiles and the waste. So we think a lot about how to educate people on how to wear clothes for a longer time, how to buy more quality, and here most of the younger generation, they are most interested in vintage and second-hand and options and how you make things live for a long time. And I think it's a beautiful movement, and I think we as fashion journalists can be helpful and make it exciting.
I think.
Well, the great thing. I think the great thing about making magazine is it's ever evolving entity, and you always not just adapt to times, but our job always to reflect on time. And I think what's so great about the brand that we all work in is that I don't think you can say that Vogue a purely fashion magazine, or even lifestyle magazine, or whatever it is. It's really such a powerful institution that reflects on all the aspects of life. As far as I'm concerned, and fashion is just one of the powerful mediums for that. So what happened when the full-scale war broke out is that the first news that our team put online was, so the bombing started at 5 a.m. and the first news went online at 9. And since that very moment, we never stopped producing content that addressed the situation all heads on. And I think that was purely instinctive decision, because again, you all know that there's no textbook, there's no instruction on how to run a business or let alone the fashion magazine. So it was all coming from pure instinct and collective consensus on what we feel was right. And what I think was again so brilliant from the publishing house, from Condé Nast, is showing us so much trust in sort of like letting us navigate this the way we felt was proper and right. And in a way that way of handling things has proven right. I think what we've managed after coming back to print and with all the projects that we've done so far, online, offline, physically, inside of Ukraine, outside of Ukraine, across the platforms, we see this new level of trust and authority in the market, where people really appreciate us taking this stance on how to navigate things. And I can tell you that it was not an easy decision, it still is not an easy decision. We had people on the team who didn't feel that was the right direction to take. We had people who left the company because of that. And again, I don't know if it's the right decision. Maybe looking back 10 years, 20 years later, we'll say, okay, these were mistakes that we were making. But I think this is the only way you can do it, is following your gut instinct and your expertise and looking at what is happening. But again, I think that's what's so brilliant in what we're doing in all of us in our markets, is that we have all this data and all this sort of amazing ecosystem to really see where the society is going, where the culture is going, and kind of anticipate that, not just following what people like and what people are interested in, but genuinely anticipating that I think is great.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I think the covers that we saw, you have the young military personnel, which is so powerful. I think they, as you said, it speaks so much more to humanity than just about fashion. I think it's a powerful platform to remind us of that as well. So I think moving on to one.
Yeah.
The very genesis of Vogue is basically the entertainment. So that's the reason why we're all here. So in order to entertain, I think we need to create. So I think that's where AI tech comes through. And I think at Vogue Singapore we are one magazine and we're never afraid of trying new things. But I think what sets us apart is also the fact that we do that with the utmost mindfulness involved in it. Because I feel like if you're just using tech mainly, to me, it would just going to be a fancy project. So I think the benefits coming from it is that I think it elevates the way you storytell to a whole new level. And I think the experience is great for the consumers as well. And at the end of the day, it builds great brand equity for yourself. So I think these things are things that I constantly look at. There are a couple of things I would like to share with you guys. I think they're going to put it on screen. So something I can take you guys through.
Sorry, is the video on the screen? Just to check. Yes.
Okay, so the video is on. I have no idea. So anyway, okay. So this to me, it's one of a kind, because this particular cover, when you actually put your phone into the cover, it actually plays you a soundscape. So there's a chip embedded to the cover, where interestingly it takes you to 19th century soundstation of the sounds of that space. So it's never been heard before, and there's a poem in it that's fully recited in Malay. So for those of you who don't know, Malay is actually our first language in Singapore, not English. So this is one of the kind of the cover, and it was completely sold out when we launched this. And of course, the next thing that we tried in terms of tag is this. So you see, so online, if you look at this particular story, which is lasagna, and you use your hands to actually touch these images, the model actually moves for you. So again, it's so this is with a Korean company called Backslash. It's one of a kind. So of course now you guys possibly cannot hear it. So apparently when you try to move your finger on his hand, there's a thing you would actually hear. There's a big sound. The other photo is when he's actually brushing his knit. So you would again hear the sound of that brushing of the knit. So again, it takes you to a whole different level of experience that I think customers or readers actually appreciate because it's something that's really quite new and refreshing. So of course the last one, which is what we recently did, very aligned to what's currently happening now is so this particular video that we did of Charlie XCX in April, we managed to turn this into a full Apple Vision Pro experience. So every single gala, basically we put on the Apple Vision Pro. It literally takes you into that space. So it's fully immersive. It makes you feel like you're part of that creation when we are putting this shoot together. So I think the deal for me, I think with technology is it has the multitude of possibilities of that. It's able to give you so much more in terms of storytelling. And I think for us as creators, I think this is a very much appreciated source for us to explore. But like I said, I think with everything else, control is key. So I think to use it very wisely and to use it with that original intention in mind is very important. I think if it's gonna come up as a vanity project just because you want to look nice or you want to show off, then for me that is possibly something that's going to be slightly bit more shortly.
So I mean, there's great sense of play. I think that there's so much possibility. So it seems like a lot of opportunity and a lot of interesting things to happen soon. So I guess that brings us to what is next in your opinion. So
If you could return it's because a picture is great. So I always tell brands to allow people to give them one amazing jacket, let them play with that jacket, give them the one back, allow them to hang stuff on it. So it feels really personalized.
exactly, I think that's also where the magic is, isn't it?
It absolutely
it's not,
is.
it's the same as you said, over and over, and I think it's in those little quirks of personality or personalization or just showing who the individual is where that's where the spark is.
But of course, with this, the next conversation would be the full policies for cover. So that's the kind of problem we face as well. So hopefully we can change that again. I love that conversation, the brands.
Well, we've been very lucky because I think, and I always say this, if you take a cross section of these covers at Vogue Philippines, we have done, working with brands. We have shot people who are wearing their own clothes. We have shot people who are wearing vintage. So we've been really lucky in that way that we have the freedom to be able to express, even especially on the covers, what we feel is important in fashion today, and I think that the scope and spectrum is necessary. Is there anything to say?